Hello, Cindy. How are you?
I am great. I'm so happy to finally be here with you at this point.
I am too. I am just so, I know it's like shake off the energy. Like we are here. It is launch day for your new book, Advocacy Made Easy: How to Turn Civic Frustration into Powerful Action, which I love the subtitle of your book. I like, you said it yesterday in one of our author calls, and I was like, oh, just lands so perfectly.
I remember working with you on that, and it's like, oh, should we be, with or how or I think we nailed it. I think we nailed it.
I think so too. And like obviously like we can brainstorm all we want, but it really requires you as the author to be like, yes, like this works for me, this lands. And I think it's just the perfect combination of what the book is about and really kind of speaks to the times that we're in. So,
Mhm.
I'm just going to dive right in. This is your second book. So your first book was From Changing Diapers to Changing the World, and now we're here with Advocacy Made Easy. So, first question is, why now? Like what's your timing for this new book?
Yeah, I think that we should tell everybody just how this happened with us. So I had released that first book in 2022, and so now we're about 2.5 years later. And I am a, a global activist. So the idea for Advocacy Made Easy came around February and March. It was right about when the Trump administration talked about dismantling our international aid structure, starting with USAID. These things that were like the basic building blocks and structure of how we give humanitarian aid around the world. And that's very, very important to me. And I thought about all the things that were talked about during the campaign. With the dreaded Project 2025. So I knew that more terrible things were coming down the line for people that I care a lot about. And I strongly suspected, I didn't have a crystal ball, but I figured that engaged activists like me would feel burnout in probably just like a couple of months. And sitting there, I was in Washington, D.C. the day that it's like an 80 or 90% pause on foreign aid became a cut. And I was personally devastated by that. So I was thinking, what can I personally do? We all have to kind of turn to our strengths and our unique abilities. What can I do to help build a movement to face what's coming? So I thought about this book that I have already, From Changing Diapers to Changing the World.
Mhm.
And I thought about how the last third of it is called Advocacy Made Easy. And it's the step-by-step instructions on how to do some of the really effective advocacy that I've been doing for almost 20 years. And I thought, there are people that tell me, oh, that's great, but a book called Why Moms Make Great Advocates and How to Get Started. I'm not a mom, I'm not a parent.
Yeah.
And okay, this is kind of a thick book,
A little big, a little big.
but it's packed with gold, I tell you. But it was a little much for some people who felt that they just wanted the answers right away. So I envisioned like a handbook that would just have those instructions on how to do the most powerful advocacy, that were just focused on the idea sharing and the opinions. And that became Advocacy Made Easy. And look at how slim and friendly that is.
Mhm.
And we changed up the people here. So instead of like all moms and women, we've got, a diverse
Yeah.
crowd of people in front of the Capitol. So that was just really the thing. I called you up and said, how, could we do this? And you said, I would like you to do that. And I would like to buy 10 copies, please. So I thought, well, this is probably not just me.
Yeah. No, I think a lot of people right now are frustrated and they don't know how to take action. And I think that's what's really beautiful about this is that you already basically had it as part of the other book. Like, what a no-brainer to then just make this a standalone piece that is short, it's sweet, it's compelling, and it gives people some kind of action plan that they can take. So I think it was so wise of you to kind of see this opportunity, because I can't wait to see what it does, because I feel like there's a lot. And I'm sure it's, already been doing some things, even though it's not fully out yet.
Yeah. I mean, the joy of having a pre-sale, and things worked like it should. So I got, free, or not free, I got early copies that I've been able to go to 3 different events and take copies of both books with me, and really see how that lands on people. The reaction, I've been delighted to say, is what I thought it would be. There are still some people that are like, yeah, I want the inspiration and I love the stories, and that's awesome because I have a book for that. But most people that I meet are like, oh, thank God, just tell me what to do.
Yeah. And so like how does it then? So like when you're standing, like somebody's watching this conversation, they're like, okay, Cindy's got 2 books. They both are covering, similar things, but like how do you define kind of the difference between why someone might want the first book versus this second book?
Yeah. So the first book, I kind of like to think of it as like, I've used a superhero analogy with it. If you think about, activists as, doing this super heroic work, that from Changing Diapers to Changing the World is like a long form, thoughtful book. It contains a lot of stories about how mothers from different walks of life get involved with different causes that they love. It walks parents and moms, especially through the feelings of doubt and anxiety. And like, I'm really holding their hands and, building a case for activism. This is the origin story of our superheroes. Like, what are the stories that brought them to the moments of the advocacy that they do all the time right now? But Advocacy Made Easy, on the other hand, just jumps right to the middle of the action. So for every advocacy action, you'll see a story of an advocate doing it, and you can read about how they felt about it in the moment. But it's all about immediacy, like what you need right in the moment, just before you take action. And, and most importantly, the instructions. I'm going to throw in a part, like you were talking about anxiety a little bit. I think a lot of the fear and anxiety of people who are just starting out or afraid to take the next step is just from not knowing what to do. So if I can remove that barrier for folks, that's what I want to do.
Yeah. And I think the timing, we're at the end of October, at least at the time of this conversation, and there are election cycles and local elections and things like that are happening. So I think that is your book is good timing, because maybe it helps people see something differently or something more clearly, to be a little bit more informed as they're going into maybe a local election in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I think the timing is accidental, but it's pretty perfect that we have just seen another historically attended No Kings March where people are protesting. And yes, we need to do that. I was out there too. We also need to follow up with different kinds of advocacy. It can't always be just about the big moments. So there's that timing, and then the timing of the elections. You and I talked about, I felt very strongly that I wanted this book to come out before the next election day.
And we did it. We did it. So that is worth celebrating alone. I wish we were physically in person so we could have like a champagne toast to pulling it off.
That will happen later. I've got a lot of stuff to do today, but that will happen later.
Yeah, we can't be day drinking at 1 p.m. Eastern time. That would not be helpful for anyone. Okay, so we're already kind of like surfacing around like who the target audience is for this book, but can we just like really dive in? So if someone, maybe someone is watching this now, or someone just watching it later, really knows, like, is this book for me or not?
Yeah, if you're feeling, we keep coming back to that word frustration. If you're feeling that way, this book has probably got something for you. But I really envision 2 different types of people buying this book. One is the people that are ready to take just their very first steps or their next steps into advocacy. And these readers are probably ones that have been involved in protests and are wondering what more they can do. Or maybe, like me, they have the kind of personality that shies away from protests and would rather write letters in a quiet environment, or sit down one-on-one in an office for a discussion. People who know me personally know that that's kind of how I am. Like, I can get very excited about things, but I would actually rather have, small group conversations. Maybe they've clicked on online petitions and made phone calls. They're ready for something more. And maybe they're tired of just like partisanship and they want a book like mine that's focused on values and issues rather than an us versus them or red versus blue mindset. So that's the first kind of person. I'm going to stop because we haven't really talked about like the kinds of actions that are in here.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
So this is probably an okay place to put that in.
Mm-hmm.
That there are 7 actions in here. They're not all the kinds of advocacy there are in the world, but I've picked these out to be the most focused on sharing information and opinions. So we have the online action, the phone call to Congress or school boards, whoever your elected official is, the handwritten letter, the letter to the editor, moving up into a longer op-ed piece to write, a town hall meeting, how do you handle that, and a lobby meeting. And there's a chapter about how to create your messaging, like a really simple format to do that kind of thing. So that's the kind of things that are in here that are going to help people do a little more than they did before. So the second kind of person is the person that is already doing all they can do, and they really want their friends and family to get involved.
Yeah.
I know from experience that when you're an engaged and outspoken activist, people tend to ask you more questions than you have time to answer. This happened after the 2016 election when Trump first run. My phone was constantly ringing with people saying, how do I call Congress? How do I get involved? And sometimes they say like, man, I really like what you do, but I don't know the first thing about it, so I'm not going to. So this time you can have the book and just go, here you go.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely delighted when my colleagues that make an order for 5 or 6 books and they say, I'm going to give this to my family. And these are for my friends who aren't doing anything yet.
I think it's a great holiday gift idea, honestly. Like it seems like, because I can make the argument that every book is a good holiday gift, but this one seems like a very timely and helpful holiday gift. And it was also designed intentionally compact, as we were talking about before. So it is designed so it is easy to pick up and to get through. So you don't have to slog through 300 pages to then be more overwhelmed than maybe when you started. Like this is a book to help you take action. And I think that could be a wonderful holiday gift. So I encourage people to buy multiple copies.
Last night when I sent out sort of a special edition of my newsletter, by the way, if anybody would like to get my newsletter, there's my website up there, advocacymadeeasy.com. And on every page, there's a little form you can fill out to get that. But I sent it out a little later than I meant to, just time got away from me. And I was like, oh, well, it's better than not sending it out at all. So I sent it out. And when I woke up this morning, there were 3 new orders in there. And it was for 5 books, 6 books, and 12 books.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That's such a good sign.
Yeah. I mean, obviously one person isn't hoarding 12 books.
Yeah.
So it's, we should probably mention the price. It's $15. I really wanted this to be, a lower price point so that people could, share it around. And there's an ebook too that that it's $9.99, I think. And if you have Kindle Unlimited, then of course just pick that sucker up.
Yeah. 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 I remember the conversation we had about being really intentional about price. Like, how do we get this to be as low as we can without you being in the negative? And so I think 15 does make it a little bit easier for people, because there are books on the market that are charging, like $20, $25, $30 for something that's similar in terms of compactness. But, like if we want people to take action, sometimes we got to find ways to make it accessible to them. So I feel like you were doing a very good job of that.
And I have loved that there are at least 3 churches, and there were a handful of advocacy groups that were kind of buying them for a library, so that one of the church organizers said that they're a church that's in action and things like that, but they thought it would be really good for people who are joining them to be able to say, like if they don't have the resources to train people, they at least have something and say, take this home and take a look at it. It's just a couple of hours. Which reminds me, I don't know if you have it handy, but there was a category on Amazon that Amazon added it. They have little categories to see how you're ranking on it. It was like 2-hour political book.
2-hour politics and social sciences short reads.
Yeah. So this book qualified for that. And
Yeah.
for a while it was trending number 2 on that. And I was like, what else is in that category? So I looked it up and I beat out the US Constitution for a while. So
those are some good bragging rights.
Yeah. James Madison, all respect to you, but just for a couple of days, I wanted that.
Just move over for just a few. I'll let you have your glory.
You'll get it back.
Yes. One of the things that I know that you always talk about is the bipartisan nature of this. And clearly, even just based on our conversation, I think people can draw conclusions on where your politics might lie. But that said, could somebody who is coming from maybe the complete opposite direction of what you might be coming to on public health, for example, since I know that's something you're really active in, could somebody still pick this up and feel as much value as someone who might be coming from a similar background?
Yeah, I think they could tell from some of the language in there that where I stand on it, because I do talk about, I give an example of an activist named Jennifer Burden talking about when she first took action on the measles issue and whether vaccines should be administered. So just by including that story, you can tell that I'm pretty firm in vaccines to prevent fatal childhood disease standpoint. But that being said, the instructions are the same for everybody: how to make a phone call, how to write a letter, how to do a lobby meeting. And if people on the other side of the political spectrum wanted to follow these rules, these instructions, I would be delighted, because we would be elevating the discourse.
Yeah.
We would be talking about cause and effect and issues and research, and it would get it away from the yelling at the family dinner table.
Yeah. That's why I wanted to ask you, because I know that, in so much of our conversations, and last, but that bipartisan is just really important to you. And so I just wanted to kind of give you the floor to kind of share that.
Yeah, it is. And I think it adds some power to it. It is definitely more challenging in this year of 2025. Partisanship is, it is much more prevalent than it was when I was writing the first book. And the first book it was released in 2022. So the meat of the writing would have been even pre-COVID. So it's gotten pretty ugly, but I feel like there's still a place for it. Our margins in the Senate especially, but just in general, the margins of Republican to Democrat are so small that even just a few elections can flip it the other way.
Yeah.
So the organizations that I've been involved in, like Results, like the United Nations Foundation, like CARE, that I just joined the board of recently, like they know that we have to cultivate people on both sides, because when the power shifts, you still want those, you still want to have allies. This is still a thing.
Yeah. And you already just started kind of touching on this a little bit, but what have you noticed has really changed, if not at what you just said, from 2022 with this first book versus now? Are there any other kind of changes that you've kind of noticed that are worth noting?
Yeah, I think that there's more desperation. We're going to move from the frustration word straight and more heading toward desperation. More people understanding what's at stake. So on a negative side, yeah, there's a lot going wrong, and there's a lot of things that are programs that are important to people being lit on fire. The hopeful part is that I think more people than ever are, like I said, understanding what's at stake. So while we have things that are more partisan and more divisive, what I also see are people in general moving up in their advocacy. Volunteers who were on the sidelines just doing their volunteer thing, I see them now moving up into leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I do see the folks who are doing the kind of transformational and relational advocacy that I am talking about are beginning to take on new kinds of activism like civil disobedience and organizing street protests and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that being said, I feel like a lot of people are moving up,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to backfill those spaces. So
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was in a position to talk directly to people who aren't doing much like right now, and to move them into the spaces where our leaders are going. And also, we just need to have a strong enough movement protecting our democracy where people need to take a break.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll get a little personal here. Something that happened to me recently is that my mom fell ill, developed a neurological condition after an infection, and for about a month was in the ICU. And I really had to step back from all my advocacy and all my speaking. So we need to be able to take time to take care of each other.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you're just starting
Yeah.
in this, know that you're helping everybody do self-care and helping us all be a much more powerful movement.
Because there's a role for everybody. You know, sometimes you just need bodies in a room. You need people to be out canvassing. Like, there's so many things where you just physically need a human to show up sometimes. And then there's other roles that are really strategic and really require that person that has a skill set and has specific knowledge to help kind of move something forward. And all of the roles are equally valuable.
Yep.
So you, as someone who's kind of like in a leading position, can take a month off to do something that's really important without feeling like you're coming back into more chaos than when you left.
Yeah. And I'll share a very specific example of something happening right now. Of course, we're watching it later. Hello to the future. But right now, in this time, we're having a government shutdown, and there is a threat that our SNAP benefits, our food stamps program may not be funded in the next couple of days. This is a huge threat, and a lot of people are worried about it. But if you're sitting there thinking like, I could write a letter or a phone call, but what good is that really going to do? Because it's like a couple days that's going to happen. But know that you'd be part of a movement working with people that you don't even necessarily know. And you're backing me up because last week I was in Washington, D.C., sitting in my senator's office talking about this exact very same issue. So you're helping me. I'm helping just the whole process. And I get the warm fuzzies when I think about that.
Yeah, because it takes everybody. Like, it truly does take everybody. And, you know, what do you think, you know, because you have your advocacy actions in here, because it is very action oriented. Do you think that there's some that are more effective than others? Does it kind of depend on what someone's personality is or what their preferences are? Like, what would you say to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give the rule of thumb, but what you hit on right there is like, it does depend on your personality too, because there are people that I know who are brilliant talking face to face. In fact, I'll refer to that same activist, Jen Burden, who was taking the measles action. The reason that she's in the book is because she was nervous about making a phone call. Her favorite thing was going in and talking face to face because she's just like one of the easiest people to talk to. That's why she's my friend. I like talking to her. But that's her personality that makes her really good at some of these things. But the rule of thumb that I like to say is the more time you spend on it and the more time that an office has to spend with it, that makes it more impactful. So for instance, an online action, if you just like click on the petition, if you have a whole bunch of people doing it, then it can become powerful. If it's just you, that is not as powerful as the handwritten letter. And you writing it out, it's taking you a few minutes. And the office actually thinks it's more important than if they see a copied and pasted letter. And then let's move up to writing for media. takes me a bit longer to write something that goes in the newspaper, but it's well worth it because so many people see it.
Yeah.
And the creme de la creme is going in and sitting down face to face with an office staffer or hopefully your member of Congress. And that is taking up that time. It took time for you to prepare for it. It takes time for them to listen to you. Yeah.
What would you say? Like, I'm thinking of myself going back in time when I first went to the Connecticut State Capitol in probably 2006, 2007, sometime in that time frame. And the first time I went in for like a lobbying day, and how terrified I was, even though I was a social butterfly. So I think I was predisposed to just wander in and just start talking to anybody because that's my personality, but I was still terrified. So, like, do you have any like advice for someone who is thinking like, okay, I'm good with people. I think I would rather go show up face to face, but might be just like really nervous or anxious to even think about talking to their member of Congress or a staffer?
I have a couple of thoughts, and so I'll try to hold them all in my head as I go through them. But one is try not to go it alone. Janine Mott Oxford is she's a activist here that I just saw speak in Missouri. She likes to go by JMO, and she says, don't be a lone ranger. And I kind of like that because you want to find this reputable advocacy group that is aligned with what you do, if you can find one, because they're going to give you accurate information. And they usually have pretty fact sheets to leave that are much prettier than the ones that I would make up. I'd probably make up a really unattractive bullet list and hand it over. But, theirs are nicely done for digestibility of facts and things like that. It's going to be accurate when you come from one of those, that you're not spreading misinformation of something that you heard on the internet. They'll help you have a strategy for more impact. So if Jen Grace is talking about something over here, that it's the same talking points that somebody else is talking to elsewhere in your state. Yeah. It's going to give you community. I first went into a lobby meeting and I just didn't know what I was doing, and I forgot to say something. And my dear friend Richard kicked me under the table to remind me. Oh, I forgot to do the ask. Like, I did all the information, but I forgot to make the request. And I literally needed a kick to.
That's awesome.
He would say it was a nudge, but
we know the truth.
Yeah. But you also have that accountability to that you're going to do what you said you do. And let's be honest, this is 2025 now, and there are some people who don't feel safe doing some of this work. So you may feel safer physically walking in with a group of people. So that was a whole bunch of things, but I feel like there was something else. I think I covered a lot of it.
Yeah, I think that's sage advice of, and that kind of goes back to the point about like there's a role for everybody. So like even if the role for somebody is to be by my side because I'm the one doing the talking, but I need someone to feel physically safe with, and that's the person who's with me, like there's a role for everybody, right? Like, so I think that that's what we have to kind of just remind ourselves of, is that advocacy doesn't just look one way. And we might have a specific way that we think that looks. Really, it's a lot of things.
And if you're going all the way to DC, do not underestimate the role of the person that brings the snacks. And when I was up there recently with CARE, and Kellen was a staffer that went with us, and she would like zoom out and get us some water when we needed it. And I'm pretty comfortable with walking around DC, but those who are not can get pretty turned around and things like that. So, logistics is part of it. And that's an important part, making sure that everybody's got what they need. So,
yeah. Okay, so I guess as I'm winding down here, if someone has stuck with us through this whole conversation and they are thinking, I'm not political, I don't know that I want to take these actions, like this isn't my thing, I don't really know what to do, like
somebody's forcing them to watch this. They're still not sold.
Force them to read the book, perhaps. What would you, I guess, say to that person?
I think in my experience, and I would say this with love, that most people say that kind of thing, that I'm not political or I don't want to take action. Most people are saying that from a place of privilege, or they're misinformed about what affects them. Some people think issues just don't affect them, but now we're seeing so many attacks on the fronts of public care that it's just not true anymore. Tariffs are making prices go up on everyone for just pretty much everything that we need. Vaccine access, we talked about. This is under attack if we don't get access to these common preventable diseases. We're going to see a resurgence in this. And I'll give you the Medicaid example that I was, again, just on the Hill talking about. There's a lot of people that feel like, well, Medicaid is for low-income Americans, and I'm not low-income, so that doesn't affect me. But there were hospitals that rely on these Medicaid payments. And when a hospital closes, you and I don't know where we're going to be when there's an emergency. And you don't know when you or someone you love might be in a different income bracket due to life and need that. So, and we're also seeing other ramifications of the Medicaid cuts making other health premiums rise. So this is all of us. And the last thing that I'd say is that if you're not speaking out, your silence will be filled by somebody else. I remember hearing an interview with the speaker talking about what suburban moms in Missouri would want. And it wasn't at all what I wanted. There are paid lobbyists that oppose your views that would be absolutely happy to fill the space that you are not occupying. And even if you question whether you're doing any good, like I said before, do it anyway, because you're working on a team with a team that you don't even see. I'm on your team. Find me on social media and we'll be a team together.
Yeah. So I guess what's the first thing that they should do other than contact you? I think that's a given. What's the first step?
I say this in the closing remarks in this book, that getting involved, kind of said this before, but getting involved with that advocacy organization is the first thing that I would do. There are so many out there. So find somebody aligned with you and get in touch with that. And then take a look through the book and see we all need to step out of our comfort zones, but find the closest thing to your comfort zone and start there. And you will find, I think, that you'll feel a little better having done something instead of nothing. And that gives wind to your sails so you can do the next thing. This is all about making you feel better, not about giving you things that are more things on your to-do list that'll make you feel worse.
Yeah, because, it's taking that frustration and turning into action. So in theory, if we can bust through the frustration and we can feel productive and have taken action, then everything, it's kind of the rising tide, then floats all boats.
I will, since our time is getting short, something that I said in my introduction is, I cannot guarantee you that if you do all the things that are in this book, that your elected official is going to take your side and take your action. But I can guarantee you that if you just rant to your friends and neighbors about it inside your kitchen, that they're not going to do it because of that. So 100%, if you don't do it, they're not going to hear you.
Yeah, very, very well said. We've had some comments from Angela and Michelle, and I don't know who Snowman is, but Snowman says, "I love that this book is making its way to church libraries and other places. Keep up the great work. Wonderful book, and then great event. Thank you for writing this. Thank you for sharing important information, and thank you for continuing to be an advocate. And thank you for simply being you." So we've had some wonderful people kind of in the comments supporting.
Whoever Snowman is, I just heard that in the voice of Olaf. So thank you. Thank you.
I wish I could do an Olaf voice. That would be amazing.
Hopefully I'm Josh Gad, tuning in.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much, Cindy. I love talking to you. You always inspire me. And I'm so happy that we are finally at the place where this is in people's hands. So where can people get in touch with you? Where can they purchase the book? What are your preferences?
Yeah, well, today, please find me out on social media. Most of my social media handles are CCY Levin, or it's my whole name, Cynthia Changyit Levin. And on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Blue Sky. And if you jump on there today, you can see I'm posting a lot about this. So, follow some of those links and some of those people that are talking about it. I meant to say this, that I also have on my page, which is at, where to go? There, www.advocacymadeaz.com. I do have a page about author talks. So if you team up with some friends and buy 10 or more copies of the book from my website, I will do a live author Q&A with your group via Zoom. So that's a way that we could actually talk back and forth. And of course, the monthly newsletter, anywhere on my website has the form that you can fill out and get that. It'll have updates on things that I'm doing, and also every single one has an advocacy action to take every month, something timely and something easy, because advocacy can be easy.
It can be. And I was saying this before we went live. I very much appreciate your newsletter, and it's very simple. It's easy. There's action. It's very good. Two things. It's Matthew Pope is the snowman.
Hi, Matthew.
And then secondly, just to note the generosity of 10 people coming together who've bought 10 or more copies for you to be that is a very generous offer. So if somebody is thinking to have your brain power and your attention in such a small group setting, I cannot encourage that enough, because you are a wealth of knowledge that would take days to uncover in a conversation. So I highly
recommend. It won't be days long, but we can have a half hour.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. There's just so much there. So I think that's fantastic. So thank you for that generous offer. And you can buy the book. Obviously, I would always prefer you buy it directly from Cindy. However, it's available wherever books are sold. So you are welcome to pop in and get it wherever you feel like.
Yep. Support your indie bookstore. Support your indie bookstore.
Yes. And if you don't have one nearby, bookshop.org is a great secondary option for independent bookstores.
Jen, thank you for helping me bring this into the world so that people can hold in their hands.
I can't wait to see the change. We'll have to have a follow-up conversation in whatever period of time to see how it's doing, because I can't wait to see what happens.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Cindy.